If I were a college president and I came to NIH and asked for $20 million to research a cure for dementia, and I took $5 million of that and used it to buy a yacht for my university, that would be morally repugnant, wouldn't it?
That would, and no, that's not.
And that's happened before, hasn't it?
That's not hypothetical, alas.
Harvard, for example, with a $53 billion endowment, spends 69% of its money from NIH on overhead, does it not?
I haven't looked at the latest numbers, but it's definitely in that range.
Yale spends 67.5% on overhead, does it not?
Again, roughly in that range, yes.
So all this money spent on overhead is money that's not being spent on medical research, is that right?
In a fiery and unforgettable Senate hearing, Senator John Kennedy delivered a scathing rebuke to the director of the National Institutes of Health. With his signature mix of Southern wit and hard facts, Kennedy exposed disturbing spending practices, grilled the NIH on misplaced priorities, and pulled out the receipts, literally. What started as a budget debate turned into a moral reckoning. This wasn't just another Senate hearing exchange, it was a moment of truth that raised questions every taxpayer should be asking. Get ready to see the moment Kennedy called it what it was, morally repugnant. Senator Kennedy didn't waste time. From the outset, he dismantled the narrative that criticism of the NIH was politically motivated. Let's dive in.
Doctor, you don't look like Satan to me.
I hope not.
Some of my colleagues have accused you of everything but abandoning your children to wolves. Do you hate medical research?
I've devoted my life to medical research, Senator.
Do you hate the NIH?
I love the NIH. I think I said that in my Senate hearing, my earlier Senate hearing. I think it's the most important biomedical institution in the world.
This budget that we're debating today is the president's budget. When's the last time Congress took a president's budget and enacted it?
You know, the funny thing is, I've gotten thanks to this process, I've got to talk with all of y'all.
When's the last time that happened?
I can't remember.
It's never happened in the history of ever happened.
I mean, everyone has strong opinions about what should happen, and Congress gets to have a say, and that's a good thing.
There's some changes that need to be made at the NIH, aren't there?
There are.
Okay. If I'm the president of a university, and I came to you at the NIH and said, I need $10 million to research a cure for nephritis. And I took that $10 million and spent $5 million of it renovating the vice provost home. That would be morally repugnant, wouldn't it?
It would.
If I were a college president and I came to NIH and asked for $20 million to research a cure for dementia, and I took $5 million of that and used it to buy a yacht for my university, that would be morally repugnant, wouldn't it?
That would, and no, that's not.
And that's happened before, hasn't it?
That's not hypothetical, alas.
And there's been a lot of talk about the difference between direct costs, spending the money, for example, on researching cures for nephritis, and indirect costs, overhead. Harvard, for example, with a $53 billion endowment, spends 69% of its money from NIH on overhead, does it not?
I haven't looked at the latest numbers, but it's definitely in that range.
Yale spends 67.5% on overhead, does it not?
Again, roughly in that range, yes.
So all this money spent on overhead is money that's not being spent on medical research, is that right?
Well, it's for fixed costs of like lab space and things, but also sometimes for other things. So it's some of it's absolutely necessary.
Well, if I'm the Gates Foundation, and I came to the NIH and said, I don't want money. I want to give you money. I want to give you $100 billion.
Yeah.
But you can't spend more than 10% on overhead. Would the NIH turn it down?
I wouldn't turn it down, no. In fact, I think that Gates Foundation overhead rates are roughly, again, in that range, 10 to 15%.
The Robert Wood Johnson Foundation limits overhead to 15%, does it not?
That's what I understand, something like that.
Now, I want you to think in terms of the American people and the importance of medical research. What do you think is more important? And we have finite resources. Okay, and I support giving resources to NIH. I think NIH does breathtakingly innovative work. But if you ask American people, would you rather give money to research cerebrovascular disease, or would you rather give $142,000 to the Seattle Children's Hospital to study how to use telehealth to improve access to gender-affirming care? What do you think the American people would say?
Senator, the NIH should be a non-political organization, non-ideological, addressing the health needs of the American people.
But yet, the NIH also spent $120,000 in a grant to, quote, develop 3D avatars that help people work through gender dysphoria, end quote. Did it not?
It did.
And the NIH also spent $2,368,492, gave it to Brown University to study, quote, improving mental health among the LGBTQ community impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Did it not?
I think it did. Although I have to say that
Do you think that's more important than studying chronic lower respiratory disease?
Senator John Kennedy didn't come to grandstand. He came with facts, figures, and moral clarity. In a room full of bureaucratic deflection, he was the only one asking the questions every taxpayer is thinking. Where is our money going? Why are life-saving cures taking a back seat to political pet projects? And who's being held accountable when millions vanish without results? He didn't just expose waste, he called out a broken system that's forgotten its mission: to serve the real health needs of real Americans. Whether it was Ivy League institutions pocketing grant money for overhead, or funding being funneled into ideological experiments over life-threatening diseases, Kennedy made one thing clear: this isn't just inefficient, it's morally repugnant. In an era where too many politicians stay silent or play along, Kennedy stood firm, not against science but against corruption disguised as progress. He reminded everyone watching that accountability is not partisan, it's patriotic. And in doing so, he gave voice to millions of Americans who are tired of being ignored, overcharged, and underprotected. Senator Kennedy didn't just win the argument, he reclaimed the conversation. When taxpayer money is at stake and lives hang in the balance, we don't need spin, we need solutions. So ask yourself, do you want your hard-earned dollars funding actual cures or 3D avatars? If you believe in truth, accountability, and real reform, smash that like button, subscribe, and share this video, because the fight to protect America's medical future starts with moments like this.